On this day, the 25th of June, 1975, 50 years ago, the Constitution was bent to serve autocratic power. On this day, 50 years later, the government is marking Samvidhan Hatya Diwas. The emergency was imposed by Indira Gandhi and it lasted for 21 months. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, invoked Article 352 to impose internal emergency. The emergency was imposed after Indira Gandhi was disqualified as an MP. The Allahabad High Court had declared Indira Gandhi's election as void on the 12th of June 1975. Viewers, the media was muzzled during this period. It was the biggest assault on the freedom of speech and the freedom of press. Hundreds of journalists were jailed. People were arrested for writing against the government. Independent press was made to struggle for existence. Bharat slipped in the global index for freedom of press. Censorship was the order of the day. Most of the mainstream media, newspapers and magazines were under the wrath of emergency. Some were threatened to be thrown out of publications and others were put in jail. In a series of posts on X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi remarked, "Today marks 50 years since one of the darkest chapters in Bharat's democratic history, the imposition of the emergency. The people of India mark this day as Samvidhan Hatya Diwas. On this day, the values enshrined in the Indian Constitution were set aside. Fundamental rights were suspended. Press freedom was extinguished and several political leaders, social workers, students and ordinary citizens were jailed. It was as if the Congress government in power at that time placed democracy under arrest." PM Modi called it the darkest chapters in India's history. Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge in his counter said that the BJP is rattled by the Congress's Samvidhan Bachao Yatra. Home Minister said that the emergency was imposed to protect power, condemn emergency. Congress in their counter said that the BJP is hiding its own failures and repeating lies. The cabinet condemned the imposition of emergency. Congress leader Udit Raj said that the emergency was not too bad. BJP chief went on to attack the Congress party, saying they operate with the same dictatorial mindset. Congress leader Udit Raj called it a golden period for Dalits, tribals and the poor. The big question we asked tonight, did the Congress party use emergency to alter the Samvidhan? Does this charge of an undeclared emergency even hold any base or water in the current times? Why do we ask whether or not the Congress party, which is saying Samvidhan Bachao, were the first and perhaps altered the very DNA of the Samvidhan? Let's understand this. The 42nd Amendment of the Indian Constitution, passed during the emergency period in 1976 under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's Congress-led government, is one of the most controversial and far-reaching amendments in Bharat's constitutional history. Let's look at the key facts. It was passed in 1976, came into effect on the 3rd of January 1977. National emergency lasted between 1975 and 1977 when civil liberties were curtailed. The major provisions of the 42nd Amendment were: 1. The very preamble of our Constitution was altered. The words socialist and secular were added to the preamble in 1975. The original Constitution does not have the words socialist and secular in its preamble. So the preamble was changed when democracy was in jail, when civil liberties were curtailed. Then this happened. Unity of the nation to unity and integrity of the nation. These changes were made. Strengthening the central government also happened. More power was shifted to the center, reducing states' autonomy. Who then hurt the federal structure of the country? The question still remains, because an apology till date has never come from the Congress party. It also gave the parliament primacy over the judiciary in certain matters. Judiciary was curtailed. It curbed the power of the Supreme Court and the High Courts to review constitutional amendments, declared that laws made to implement directive principles of state policy or the DPSPs cannot be invalidated even if they violate fundamental rights. The term of the Lok Sabha and state assemblies was increased from 5 to 6 years. It was later reversed by the 44th Amendment in 1978 under the Janata Party. New fundamental duties, 10 new fundamental duties were added to the Constitution. Article 51A, inspired by the Soviet Union, the then Soviet Union. All India Judicial Service proposal authorized the creation of an All India Judicial Service. This move, this 42nd Amendment and also Article 32A received a ton of criticism. It was called the mini constitution because it altered the basic structure of the constitution. So can that Congress party 50 years down the line walk on the streets to say hum Samvidhan bachane nikle hain is a question many are asking. Seen as an attempt by the Congress party to centralize power and weaken democratic institutions. Several of its provisions were later rolled back by the 44th Amendment in 1978 under the Janata Party government. But here's what the Janata Party could not do or did not do. They did not restore the basic structure of the preamble. The words socialist and secular, the words integrity in unity and integrity of the country, they were not removed. The original framework of the preamble was not restored even under the Janata Party governments. So who altered the Samvidhan? Who is fascist or autocratic? Who has still not apologized and who needs to apologize?